The Loki Season 1 finale has been criticized for being a letdown, but despite some issues, it ultimately works for the story the show is telling and the broader MCU. After the Wanda Vision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, MCU and Disney Plus pretty much wrapped up everything and focused on the god of mischief, Loki. In the 6th and final episode of the first season of Loki, which sends the trickster to a whole new adventure, Loki goes on to take his own path. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. On today's video, we're going to review the final episode of Loki Season 1. Before we start, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to check out our other videos. That said, let's start the video. After weeks of story building, Loki's 6th episode delivered on its promise by unveiling the one who created the TVA. Thanks to the help of some of their allies, like Agent Mobius and Hunter B-15, as well as other variants like Classic Loki and Kid Loki, essentially a version of King the Conqueror, he revealed to have created the organization in an effort to prevent his other selves from wreaking havoc. Sylvie wasn't impressed, however. She forcefully pushed Loki back into the TVA, going ahead with killing He Who Remains. The event of this whole encounter led to the MCU's multiverse being unleashed. The episode generally got positive reviews, but it made some people unhappy, especially about how they wrapped up Season 1. Since the show was about Loki, some people said that the star of the show was sidelined in the finale, and you go and watch that episode again and you might agree. After all, for most of the episode, Loki and Sylvie sat down and listened to He Who Remains explain the origin of the multiversal war and the TVA, while also describing what could happen next. The episode came off more like exposition and set up for the future rather than a proper conclusion to the journey that began with Loki's arrest. Furthermore, throughout that journey in the actual finale, Loki's actions were mostly dictated by what Sylvie wanted to do. By the time he stood up to her after disagreeing on how to handle the information about the real importance of the TVA, he couldn't do anything to convince her. She had made up her mind and couldn't be swayed by any means, including Loki physically fighting her. In the end, Sylvie bested and forced him out of the situation, sidelining him from the core story, for all intents and purposes. At that point, she became the Loki the series was about. And from there, he was deemed insignificant for the events that followed, except for the clear setup for Loki Season 2 once he returned to the TVA. The lack of focus on its character in the Loki finale is somewhat understandable, but it was frustrating. The villain turned anti-hero has been a fan favorite since his debut in the MCU back in 2011 through Kenneth Branagh's Thor. While he has appeared in a string of projects since then, the Disney Plus show is his first leading role as the God of Mischief. So there's already an expectation that the whole story should revolve around him, especially since Season 1 is only 6 episodes long. However, given the trajectory of his story arc, not being the center of attention at the end of his journey was the natural way to conclude the core arc. Bringing back the villainous 2012 version of Loki for the series, particularly after Loki died by Thor's side in defiance to Thanos in Avengers Infinity War, there was a sense that Marvel was retreading on the past. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Seeing as the series offered Loki a proper road to self-discovery and redemption, one that wasn't fully explored on the big screen. So, starting with a pre-redeemed version of the character who was still convinced the universe owed him something, Loki transformed him into an empathetic, cooperative, and good-willed being. His personal redemption was reflected in Loki's overall storytelling. Instead of vying for attention, control, and power, becoming someone who could turn down wielding the Infinity Stone and becoming the king of Asgard was truly an achievement for him. He finally found his glorious purpose. It just had nothing to do with power. In the end, it was accepting his place in the grand scheme of things, even knowing that it meant him not being at the forefront of the story. Loki does, however, differ from other Marvel shows on Disney Plus in one vital area. There's going to be more of it. Wanda Vision Season 2 apparently isn't happening, with Scarlet Witch continuing her story on the big screen via Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The same goes for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, with Sam Wilson reportedly set up for Captain America 4 rather than a second season of streaming. Ever the trendsetter, Loki breaks that pattern, using a brief post-credit scene to confirm a return in Loki Season 2. What did you guys think of Loki's season finale? Let us know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for future videos, and I will see you in the next one.